Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate you. So today we're going to be talking about a very timely topic, what a concept on this channel, and that is Justice, or anti-diet pilot on TikTok, who was a pretty, or is a pretty predominant fat activism content creator on the TikTok, basically admitting that she's been on GLP-1 and she's been losing weight off of TikTok. I have a lot of complex feelings on this, and I feel like it's not going to be too different from anybody else who's talking about this right now, but yeah, I just want to talk about it because I think it opens up some very interesting conversations, and that is what we're going to be doing today. But before we get into today's video, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Coopert. Now, Coopert is a free browser extension designed to save you money effortlessly. Coopert offers 3 core services: automatic coupon testing, cashback rewards, and a price comparison service to ensure that you are saving the most money and getting the best deals while shopping online. Coopert supports Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Opera, and Safari on desktop and Safari on mobile devices. With 6 million weekly active users on desktop and 3 million active users on mobile, Coopert serves over 200,000 merchants globally. I needed to buy a new mascara because I could feel mine getting goopy, so I went on Coopert and I just searched up Ulta because that's usually where I buy it from, and I saw that they were offering 6.6 to 6.8% cash back on purchases from Ulta, so I headed over to the website, made my purchase, and boom, I got $3 back. I entered in my PayPal information so I could withdraw that $3 right away. But if you don't want to do that, then the cashback usually takes about 15 days to process. Coopert offers cashback from 76,000 retailers: Ulta, Macy's, Walmart, Sephora, and so many more. And cashback can also be redeemed via gift card, PayPal, or bank card. Super easy to install. It was super easy to use, and that's something I really appreciate because I don't want to have to think about doing any of this myself. Also have a service where when you're checking out anywhere, it will scan for coupons and automatically apply them to your cart, which is also super convenient. Ulta just didn't have any coupons that were eligible for the purchase I was making, and so that was understandable, but I still got $3 back, and that's honestly probably the same amount, if not more, than a coupon would have saved me anyways. So yeah, if you want to go give Coopert a try for yourself, be sure to use the link down below in my description. And yeah, thank you so much to Coopert for sponsoring today's video. And thank you, as always, to you guys for continuing to interact with my content so that brands like Coopert want to keep working with me, because it truly helps me out more than I will ever be able to describe to you. Okay, now let's get back into the nonsense. So if you don't know who anti-diet pilot, or Justice is her name, is, she is probably one of the more outspoken, smug, or can be one of the more outspoken or smug fat activism content creators on TikTok. And I think I've only featured her in a few of my reaction videos. I've never done a video solely on her before, but I've definitely known of her existence. And her big thing was always one, ED recovery, which I honestly can't really go into a whole lot anymore on the YouTubies, because I've had a couple videos get demonetized for talking about such things, and I've tried doing appeals and it did not work, so I can't really talk too much about that. But her other thing was also being a fitness instructor while simultaneously deconstructing diet culture and talking about things like fat phobia and stuff like that. On the surface, I don't necessarily think that was a bad thing to be doing, because there is so much shit online, right, regarding diet, fitness, all of that stuff that's just unnecessary or just plain old not true, right? And so I didn't necessarily disagree with that, but then she started spewing some just activism, provably untrue things, and that's where I started to have an issue with that.
The body positivity movement kept me fucking fat.
Hello. It concerns me that you think your personal experience with being should be projected onto everyone else. Just because you were and unhealthy doesn't mean everyone else is. P.S. The body positivity movement isn't for 200-pound white girls. Bye.
If you ask someone why they think being fat is bad and they tell you it's because it's unhealthy, immediately stop listening to anything else they have to say. Because cultural fat phobia predated any medical arguments against body size. This bias influenced doctors' thinking and affected all the advice they gave patients and all the research that was published. If you don't believe me, Google the obesity paradox.
This belief that being fat increases your risk for disease is outdated. The most recent research in fat studies actually links dieting and weight cycling for an increased risk of disease. In fact, the reduction of adipose tissue increases your risk for type 2 diabetes, and the research shows that fat bodies are actually better at fighting diseases than thin bodies.
Also having a lot of very strong opinions on what people are doing with their bodies and what people are deciding to do for themselves and their health and their bodies. And I remember there was one that was about like you needing to reevaluate the reasoning you're going to the gym and if the way you're going to the gym is fat phobic or not and whatever. And as someone with OCD who just tries to be a decent person but like also can't like trust her brain a lot of the time, I was like, I don't want to think about why I'm going to the gym. I just want to go to the gym.
What makes somebody fat phobic at the gym? Let's talk about it. Are you going to the gym so you can get a flat stomach, or are you going to the gym so you can build a stable core and have better posture? Are you motivated to go to the gym so that you can lose weight, or are you focused on increasing muscle and bone density? Do you only consider a workout good when you feel sore or tired the next day, or do you look to feel energized and awake after working out? Are you prioritizing leg day because you want your butt to look super delicious, or is it because you know strong glutes help protect your knees and your back? Wanting to work out does not make anyone fat phobic, but the motivations why you might go to the gym do.
When I saw that, I was like, come on, this feels unnecessary. You know, creators like Sam at Every Size have done like deeper dives into her and have found examples of her just overall maybe not being the best person and overall being like very entitled, specifically when it comes to like tipping in America.
Reaction time. This edition is grad night.
Do servers ever get tired of complaining about the tips that they get? You know you're not entitled to any of the tips. Like your tip out could be 0. Tipping is customary, it's not required. 20 to 25% plus in a tip means you are doing an outstanding job. It does not mean that you're simply taking the customer's order, dropping off their food, and giving them their check. If that's all you're doing for your customers, no, you don't deserve a 20 to 25% plus tip. Sorry. Honestly, I blame COVID because remember during COVID, we were expecting very little from our servers, but we were tipping out of really just pity, really high amounts. I feel like this is where the entitlement of tips really came from. And I really think that servers should just be thankful that they get a 5% tip or a 10% tip or a 15% tip. Like that means that the customer said, hey, here's the amount on my bill. I feel like I want to give you additional money to say thank you. Customers' thank yous are met with servers just showing the receipt and complaining that they didn't get exactly 20%. Like this was a $10 on a $100 bill. And she like rates this like a 4 out of 10.
Which I agree that like some tipping culture in America has gotten out of hand, but I do think it opens up a bigger conversation of like, why do we rely so heavily on tips and why don't we just pay our service workers fair wages? You know, I understand that. And I think she talks about that too in regards to tipping. But then also she talks about dating a lot as well and is open about very much only dating men for like their money and like only wanting to date men who have money. Because other than that, like she feels like they can't really like provide her with anything else.
As most of y'all already know, I'm a serial rich man dater. I don't date brokies. 2 weeks ago, I went on a date with this guy who was explicitly clear that he was not looking for anything serious, just wanted to have fun. By the way, he's 34 and he wants one girl that he can like hang out with and spend all his money on. And that's what I'm wanting, so I said, perfect. So the date, dinner, drinks was so good. We ended up going back to his place. We didn't do anything, but we did have more wine. We just were talking. He was such a gentleman. And I left just feeling like that was an amazing date. He was in New York for the past 2 weeks for work and just came back. And while he was in New York, we were texting like every couple days. We were making plans to hang out Saturday, 2 days ago. So, you know, this is the part of the conversation where I'm like, so did you get me a present? Hint, hint. And he's like, oh, you like still just want to do that? And I'm like, do what? Like, he's just like, well, I really liked you. And in my brain, I'm like, not enough to give me a present? He elaborates and he says, I just thought we had a really great day. We had such good chemistry. Like, I would like to see where things take us. I told him I need a couple days to think about this because that was not on the cards for me. So that is what I'm currently doing. I'm taking a couple days to think about it. I just want to let you know. Thanks for listening.
Which, like, pop off, queen. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But overall, I think that can come off kind of entitled. you know? Anyways, she came out, I think, on like May 1st, talking about how she has been on a GLP-1. I believe she's on Zepbound, how that is causing her to lose weight. She says that she's on it for like another medical reason, which she's not going to get into, which I think is fair, and that she didn't go on it explicitly to lose weight, but that is something that she's having or that she's experiencing.
I'm on a GLP-1, and I know some people are going to feel very hurt or confused or be like, bitch, what the fuck? I also would probably say the same thing. I've been wanting to come back to TikTok for a very long time, but I told myself until I was ready to talk about this, I would not come back because I did not want to be a dishonest bitch like some of these other people, no names. I don't want to trigger anyone. And if seeing somebody on a GLP-1 is not good for your mental health, like, I'm letting you know now. I want to just first of all say that I did not get on GLP-1 for weight loss. I have an underlying medical condition. I'm not going to go into detail, but it was prescribed by my doctor. I remember sitting in the doctor's office being like, this stupid fatphobic bitch. Like, I genuinely thought she was just being fatphobic because I'm telling her I'm having these symptoms and she's like prescribing me a weight loss medication. Like, what the fuck? I just felt like I was so angry at the time. But I came home, did my own research. Because of my symptoms, I was like so desperate at the time. I was like, I need relief. So like, if I just try this and it doesn't work, my truth covers it. Like, no harm, no foul. After 4 weeks of being on the GLP-1, I was eating 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I worked with a dietitian for a little bit in the beginning. I am mindful about my protein. I'm not like, you know, I try to get over 100 grams a day, but like, honestly, I just eyeball it and I don't hit it every day and I don't care. I try to get 25 grams of fiber, but that's a goal I've had before the GLP-1, and then just trying to drink a lot of water, electrolytes, things like that. So in that regard, like eating wise, I don't really feel like it changed a lot. It did change like the way that I crave food. Like I don't crave like fast food and stuff like that anymore. Now I would much rather cook than like go out to eat. So I think that's like the biggest change. I don't really get any side effects. There's no like constipation, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. I don't know. I don't get any of those symptoms. I just get a little dehydrated when I haven't had enough water. I was just really struggling trying to figure out how to come back and talk about this. I've also been experiencing like a lot of cognitive dissonance and feeling like a hypocrite or like a failure. I think almost exactly a year ago I went viral talking smack about GLP-1s and how all these people are going on GLP-1s for weight loss and just like pretending like nothing fucking happened. I think my body has definitely changed since being on a GLP-1, so it is something that's been kind of like hard for me because I'm like, oh, I'm feeling better and I'm losing weight. With my experience, I'm starting to like link those two again, and I don't want to like go back into that mindset of like I need to be as small as possible in order to be healthy. You know, I have really good friends, really good mutuals I talk to and confide in all the time. And I think I'm staying pretty good. I have like one friend that I know would literally slap the shit out of me if I like was going back into like diet culture. So it hasn't happened yet, so I'm assuming that I'm doing okay. I think the biggest thing for me is that I don't know what the future of my account is. I really just want to be able to post whatever I want. So that's why I'm making the disclaimer. I don't think I'm going to be doing like, hey guys, I lost X amount of pounds this week. Like, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything like that. It doesn't interest me, and there's already a bunch of people that already do that on GLP-1s on this app. But I think it would be really beneficial. I know a lot of people that followed me because they had issues with BED, and I would love to, you know, share my experience and how it's literally made those urges and that like mindset around food like completely vanish. It's been such a godsend, and yeah, I know some people are not going to understand, and I totally get it.
And a lot of people have a lot of issues with this because she has spoken very, very openly in the past about being against things like Ozempic and the like, you know.
I don't know how to have this conversation. I keep restarting this video over and over, but I wanted to talk about being in the largest body that you've ever been in while you're like recovering from ED behaviors because it's so hard, especially like right now in 2024, when over the past like 4 months people have been dropping so much fucking weight. Like there's so many creators that I've been watching for years, and I have to sit here and like contemplate if I need to unfollow them. And it, like when you say it out loud, you're like, oh, I'm unfollowing them because they've lost weight. Like that sounds so stupid, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to unfollow them because of that. Like I love their content, but like for example, this one girl was getting ready for a wedding today, and like you can just see how much weight she's lost, and I'm like because in my brain I'm like, oh, she looks so much better. So I'm like, why am I thinking those thoughts? I don't want to have those thoughts because I don't want anyone to like, I don't want to feel pressured into like doing things that led me down a really hard path. Anyways, I really don't know how to make this a constructive conversation without it being triggering, so I'm just gonna stop. I don't care how hard the Ozempic girlies try to shove that shit down my throat. I will never go down a path of intentional weight loss ever again. Weight has gone up, but so has my income, my quality of life, my self-confidence, and everything in between. My self-esteem was so low, I let men treat me like garbage, do the bare minimum, and now because of body positivity, body neutrality, and feeling confident in my self-worth, the men I date today give me princess treatment because I demand it. Literally, food, my body, and exercise were the only things I ever thought about. Now that I'm not so consumed with those thoughts, I get to focus on life, my friends, what I'm doing next year, where I want to go this weekend. There's also so much research that shows how bad dieting is for our bodies. I would never do that to my body ever again. People could really benefit from differentiating how they feel from how they look. One has to do with health,
The other has to do with vanity. In my opinion, dieting is just an illusion of something that will get you a better life. It doesn't actually make your life better. It's miserable. Ask anyone who's currently dieting. It fucking sucks. So why do it? Health at every size. Go research it. Love you.
She also made another TikTok that was met with a lot of criticism from her previous followers about getting her face back after being on a GLP-1. And it's basically a before and after of her face before and her face after being on Zepbound. And a lot of people were like, not a before and after. And like, for some reason, I have been talking a lot about fat activists, body positivity's view on before and after photos, and how I think that whole conversation is very strange and people should be able to post whatever they want. But she has made it like and this kind of leads into like the conversation I want to have surrounding this. She makes it like abundantly clear that she's only posting the before and after of her face because it's like inflammation has reduced.
I knew talking about being on a GLP-1 would ruffle some people's feathers, or like, you know, posting content about my progress of being on a GLP-1 would maybe hurt some people, and I totally get that. I know it's not gonna be everyone's vibe. That is why I posted a video saying, hey guys, I'm on a GLP-1, and I pinned it to my profile because I do not want anyone who feels like that would be unhealthy for them to watch that. But I also want to disclaim that I probably could have put this in the caption, but I didn't. I'm specifically talking about the inflammatoriness of my face in the before photo. You guys, a GLP-1 will literally get rid of every ounce of excess water in your body. You will not be inflamed on this medication. It's like genuinely impossible. So what I'm specifically talking about is the change in my face. Like, I'm probably not going to disclose whether or not I've lost weight or how much weight I've lost. Like, I mean, I could change my mind at any point, but right now I don't feel like I'm going to be doing that. Some people won't understand, but like, when you lose your face temporarily and then all of a sudden you have your face back and you look in the mirror, every time you look in the mirror, it's like you recognize yourself again. Like, for so long, I felt like I didn't recognize myself, and like all of a sudden I'm like recognizing myself again, and like that is priceless, okay? And I wanted to share it on the internet. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I know, like, I can't please everyone, but I tried to do this the best that I could.
Which can be true, all right? Like, you can depuff without necessarily losing weight. I have experienced that in the past, like, month or so. I have lost weight. I posted about that on my community tab. By the way, thank you so much for the love on that post. Like, it made my whole week on a Monday, okay? Or on a Tuesday. At the same time of losing weight, I also have lost a lot of inflammation because my life has gotten to be, knock on wood, comically unstressful compared to what it had been for the last like year and a half or so. And with the stress, I was retaining a lot of water. My face was really puffy. And yeah, so I understand that depuffing is 100% a topic of conversation when it comes to losing weight. And she says that on GLP-1s, you don't retain as much water, or like you can't retain water, which I don't know how true that is. I am not educated in how those work. The way she's talking about it is very interesting. Started talking a lot about just her experience on GLP-1s, needing to stay really hydrated on them and stuff like that. Again, calling back to the inflammation thing. For me, I think this whole situation, did she cause harm with a lot of her old content? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, she was very loud about some things that were very wrong, just like scientifically. And I think that causes harm. Like, I think when you are posing yourself as a fitness instructor, someone who knows more or less what they are doing, and you are talking about things and they are just like objectively wrong, that causes harm. And that's one of my main issues with the fat activism movement as a whole, is I think they just spread misinformation about the medical, like the health effects of being fat. And I'm coming at this as someone who had weight loss surgery in 2018 and was like all kinds of screwed up internally. Like, I was pre-diabetic, my liver was not functioning properly, and there were like a few other things that I can't remember. And then weight loss completely flipped those. These people will then turn around and say that like those things weren't caused by my weight. But I think I'm of the mindset that weight may not cause those issues, but losing weight helps them, and having excess weight on your body only makes them worse, right? I think she potentially caused a lot of harm with her old content, and that is not something that I am trying to deny here at all. That being said, I have always said this in videos, is that it's okay to change your mind. And like, I think me and Justice are around the same age. So like, I'm 28, I'll be 29 in September. Around this time in your life is the time, and I mean, I feel like your mind never stops changing, but I feel like especially in your 20s, you learn so much more about yourself and what you want out of life and things like that. And like, you're going to be changing your mind all the fucking time. And that's part of what makes your 20s so chaotic and confusing and kind of terrible. It's the whole reason I make the content that I do about fat activism is like to tell people who might be in that mindset, absorbing that content, taking it in, believing it. They might have really strong opinions, but like, you have to do what's best for you, and you have to change your, and it's okay to change your mind. But I think what's interesting with Justice and seeing how her content now, after coming out of being about being on a GLP-1, is that one, she's getting very defensive of people being mad at her.
You guys are upset with Remy Bader because she didn't disclose the fact that she had weight loss surgery for a year. And the commentary was, well, like, if she would have just told us from the beginning, it would have been fine. Like, her body, her choice, though. Okay. And then we move over to Janelle, which really solidified the fact that your issue is that people are not disclosing it from the beginning. Okay. Perfect. So when I decide that I'm coming back to the internet, I am asking some of my mutuals and even some of my close friends, I'm like, should I say anything about being on a GLP-1? Pretty much everyone was like, no, like, it's no one else's business. However, I'm very sensitive knowing that the majority of my audience I build while going through ED recovery. And I know, as somebody who, you know, went through that it's very triggering when you're watching somebody like move into a smaller body. And people with EDs or that type of behavior, we are very observant of people's bodies. And I did not want anyone to feel like they're going crazy or like, what is going on, you know, without saying anything. Also, the fact that I'm not embarrassed about being on a GLP-1, I was like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm not understanding like why people still have a problem. So you have a problem when people don't disclose it. You have a problem when people disclose it. So what's the issue?
Which I think is unfair. I think people have more of a right to be mad at her about this than like they did Remy Bader having weight loss surgery and not talking about it right away. I know there was another like weight loss influencer who just came out about being on a GLP-1 as well, which I'm thinking about talking about. I think her name's Janelle. She's the girl, like the Is It Bussin' Janelle on TikTok. Because she was like on she was like on keto, and she was like such a proponent for keto, and like she'd put everything in a bell pepper, and like she said something was like bussin', and she's as white as I am, and so now so then there was like an inside joke being like, is it bussin' Janelle? Anyway, I might talk about her too. I think people have more of a right to be angry at Justice for not disclosing this sooner or just doing it at all. Even though I don't think people should be angry at other people online parasocially for like making a change in their body that they think is right for them. But like, I understand more of why people are angry at her, because she was so openly against GLP-1s and intentional weight loss for a very, very long time. And that was like one of the main points of all of her content was that. But at the same time, like I said, I've had people reach out to me in my Instagram DMs or whatever and thank me for the content that I make because they were either really prominent figures in fat activism, and then my content helped them kind of come out of that mindset. And like, I think we need to like give these people grace for changing their minds. And I think how we give them grace kind of depends on how they move forward with their content. And I think that's also what's really interesting for me watching Justice's content right now, is you can see her kind of grappling with what she used to believe about diet or about weight loss and GLP-1s versus what she is going through now with her experience. For me, I can empathize with that so much because like been there, done that, right? Like I was very in consuming fat activism content for a really long time when I was younger, and I was like starting to believe a lot of the common things that they talk about, but then my health just was not good at the ripe age of like 21 or 22. I hadn't even graduated college yet. I hadn't moved away from home yet. I hadn't started my life yet. And I was like, I need to get it together. And it involved a lot of, for lack of a better term, like deconstructing those beliefs that the people online were kind of instilling in my brain. I was lucky in that I didn't make the content publicly, right, and then change it like Justice did, or like anybody else has. But I think if I did, I would have had to have been very, very honest about the way that my mind was changing, and have to expect that a lot of my audience probably wasn't going to be very happy with me. And I think a really good example of this now is like Rosie on Instagram, and I think she has a YouTube channel as well, and Angelica Unfiltered, who is also on Instagram and also has a YouTube channel. I've talked about both of them on my channel before. They are both great, great women. Really enjoy talking to them about their experiences. I think they are a very good example of how you can kind of maneuver your content away from fat activism to I'm doing what's best for myself and everybody else should too. And I think Justice is kind of like in the beginning of that, because she's very openly talking about being on a GLP-1, but then also she made a video and I saved it. There are 15 things that have given me anti-fat fatigue. With that, I think there's also something to be said of talking about if you were once bigger and now you're not, you can like empathize with like the fat experience still, right? Like I talk about that all the time. Granted, I still am like fat, but, and I kind of always have been, even at my lowest. There's definitely a lot that fat activists talk about that I empathize with and I agree with, because it's like the experiences are true. I think at the same time, it's important to remain critical of fat activism, because a lot of what they talk about is not true and does cause actual harm mentally and then physically. I was kind of waiting this to happen, to be honest, like a really, really loud fat activism creator than being on a GLP-1 and losing weight. Like I was waiting for this to happen. It's the same thing that I've talked about before in similar situations, where I think when you make your whole brand about hating diets and diet culture and being more or less a fat activism creator, and then something goes wrong in your health and you have to do something to fix it, there's like a weird catch-22 there. And I think it's always really interesting to see how they navigate it. And right now, I think Justice is getting maybe defensive, but I am happy for her that she is getting healthier and she's feeling a lot better, because she is talking a lot about how GLP-1 is helping with her food noise in regards to her recovery, and also how like the inflammation's gone down, which I can attest is a very freeing feeling. Not feeling bloated all the time is just a great, great feeling. It's just interesting seeing her kind of like stuck in the middle of this. I know that she has, like I said, made some questionable content in regards to like not even fat activism and just like her as a person, but I just think she's a very interesting example of, like I said, making your brand about being so anti one thing, but then having to like lean into that one thing to like basically help your own health in your own life. It's okay for me. Not quite sure how it applies to thee yet. You know, really interesting to see someone kind of starting where I did. And yeah, so let me know what you think down below. Leave a burrito emoji if there is one down below, because I remember she ate like burritos and sandwiches a lot. Yeah. That's all I have to say. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much to Coopert for sponsoring today's video. And be sure to use the link down below in my description to give it a whirl for yourself. It's super easy. It's super convenient and nice. And I have really been enjoying it. And yeah, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, drink your water, take your meds if you need them, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.